let's solve this question. This one says if n is an even integer, so this is given to us about n, then which of the following must also be an even integer? And here you see there are three expressions given to us, each of which has n in it as the unknown, but I do know the even odd nature of n, and based on this I want to see what is the even odd nature of these three. Now whichever one out of these is definitely even, that will be selected for me, and then once I see which ones are selected, and to stay tuned with such content, so what we'll do is we'll just take each of these expressions one by one, along with this only piece of given information, and see if it is definitely
on GMAT Focus Edition. For example, you can build your CR pre-thinking skills, you can learn how to approach statistics questions in graphics interpretation as part of DI, you can learn everything about linear inequalities as tested on the GMAT Focus Edition,
I will take
a lot
n
of
to
other
be
content.
2 times
the link for
a
this
for
is
some
in the
integer,
description.
because n
Now,
is
let's
even,
get back to the
has to be
question at hand.
divisible by 2. So this 2a I'll simply replace here in my expression, and this will help me make my inferences easily. Now first this becomes 4a squared minus 4 over 4, and I can very neatly see that I can take 4 common from the numerator. This then gets cancelled out with the denominator. Now this is a squared minus 1. Can you guarantee that this whole thing is even? You cannot. It depends on a. If a is even, for example, then even squared is even minus 1, which is odd, your result is odd. But if a itself is odd, then odd squared first of all will be odd, minus 1, which is odd. This time your result will be even. So the answer here, the final even odd nature, depends on this a, which means it does not depend on n being even or odd only. It depends on whether n has an extra 2 here, whether n is divisible by 4 or not. But since I don't have that information, I'm going to reject this statement. This is not something that must be even. There's another way you can think about this also. Look at this. If I just simply split this as n squared by 4 minus 1, because that's 4 by 4, I simply have to see the even odd nature of n squared by 4, because I know 1 is definitely odd. Now I know n is even, so n squared is also even. Now the square of a number, even divided by 4, can you for sure tell me what the even odd nature of this number is going to be? You cannot. Imagine this is say 4, because it's the square of something that has a 2, so it'll at least have a 4. If I divide 4 by 4, my result will be 1, which is an odd number. But suppose this even number comes out to be 16, in which case 16 divided by 4 will be 4, which is still even. So this thing here, when you divide an even number by 4, it can be both odd or even, from which you're then subtracting an odd number, which guarantees that your final result is also going to be odd or even. So again, because of the same uncertainty, I can't say this is definitely even, and this gets rejected even that way.
Hit that like button so that other GMAT aspirants can also learn from it. And to stay tuned with such content, hit the subscribe button below. Now, to take your learning to the next level, we have put together a free trial in which you can experience content in all the sections tested on GMAT Focus Edition. For example, you can build your CR pre-thinking skills, you can learn how to approach statistics questions in graphics interpretation as part of DI, you can learn everything about linear inequalities as tested on the GMAT Focus Edition, and a lot of other content. The link for this is in the description. Now, let's get back to the question at hand.
Similarly, let's look at the second statement. We again have the same given information. Let's see what we can say about this expression. So I see n squared plus 2n over 4. First thing I can see here is that I can simplify my expression by taking n common this way. Now I know n is even, and if I add 2 to an even number, this result is also even. So essentially here what I have is even times even, which means my numerator is even for sure. Now I just have to see whether this numerator will be divisible by 4. Now see, again, that's easy to see once you use your n as 2a, because n is even. So n plus 2 becomes 2a plus 2. Now simply see that there's one 2 that comes from the 2a. There's another 2 that comes from the 2a plus 2. And if I take both of those 2's out, I can clearly see that the 4 in the denominator gets cancelled. As a result, what you're left with is the product of two new integers, a and a plus 1. Now, no matter what they are, even or odd, there's one thing I know for sure, that this is the product.
At this point,
this is the product
could
of
you have
two
arrived at the approach of
consecutive
solving this
integers,
question
and
with this level of
whenever I
clarity,
take the
had you
product
not
of two
spent the
consecutive
effort in
integers,
thoroughly
it's going to be
understanding
even
the
times odd
information
or
presented?
odd times
And
even,
because this
and
skill
in
may
any
not come
case, the
naturally to
product
many of you,
is
we have
definitely
created a
even.
course architecture
So here
that
then,
ensures
I
that we
have
teach
found
you
a
this skill
statement, an
through every
expression
guided
that
quiz in the
must be
e-GMAT
even.
course,
So we
and
mark
we
this
reinforce
way,
the same
and
in every
similarly now
practice quiz.
finally,
In
look
fact,
at
the way we
the
apply our
third and
process
last
skills so
expression.
comfortably in this
Again,
question,
I see
in the
scope
e-GMAT
for
course, you will learn
simplification
how
here
to
by
build these
taking my
process skills
n
through
common.
purpose-built
And as
exercises.
before, I
With each
have
process
n
skill learning
even,
activity
so
and
n
practice
plus
quiz
4n
pair,
plus
you will
even
find your
confidence increasing.
Thus,
Now,
throughout
it is
the
even in the
numerator,
numerator.
over
Yes, I just have to
2,200
see
questions,
is this
you will learn
always
such
divisible by 4
so that you can
or
also
not.
comfortably
So for this
navigate
also,
even
I'm
the
going to
hardest
use
of
n
questions.
as 2a.
Let's now get back to the
And
solution
then
at
when
hand.
you do the replacement, you will be able to see that there is a 2 that comes out from the first factor. There's a 2 that comes out from the second factor, just like last time. This time you're left with a times a plus 2. So yes, it is divisible, but your goal was not just to see divisibility. Your goal is now to see whether this thing is even or odd. So if you look at it this way, it's not anymore 2 consecutive integers as you saw in the second expression. Instead, these are either both going to be odd because there's a gap of 2 between them, or they're both going to be even. And because of that, their product is either odd or even. Therefore, this expression is rejected. It is not something that must be even. We clearly saw that its nature depends on this a here really, where a was nothing but the expression, the variable we used to express n this way. Overall then, I see that among the 3 expressions we were evaluating, it's only the second one that was definitely even, and therefore when I come here, it's only this one. The choice that works for me is choice A, 2 only.
At this point, let me ask you this. Could you have arrived at the approach of solving this question with this level of clarity had you not spent the effort in thoroughly understanding the information presented? And because this skill may not come naturally to many of you, we have created a course architecture that ensures that we teach you this skill through every guided quiz in the e-GMAT course, and we reinforce the same in every practice quiz. In fact, the way we applied our process skills so comfortably in this question, in the e-GMAT course you will learn how to build these process skills through purpose-built exercises. With each process skill learning activity and practice quiz pair, you will find your confidence increasing. Thus, throughout the Quant course, through over 2,200 questions, you will learn such process skills so that you can also comfortably navigate even the hardest of questions. Let's now get back to the solution at hand.
Let's summarize this nicely. We understood that our only given piece of information was n even. Based on just that information, we carefully evaluated 3 different expressions. The first one we saw in 2 different ways. One by replacing my n by 2a, and we saw that everything was depending on a ultimately. Another was directly manipulating this to have an expression in terms of n. For this one, we just saw that when you divide an even number by 4, there's no guarantee if it's just any even number that this will be even. It can be even or odd. Second expression though, we saw that after our simplification, we came to a stage where it's 2 consecutive integers being multiplied, which is always even. While in the third one, it was not 2 consecutive integers. There was a gap of 2, which meant either they're both odd or both even, which then decided the final even odd nature also could be anything. So very interesting analysis here. Just one piece of information, and throughout we just simplified information, we manipulated, kept drawing inferences, and nothing was difficult because we really understood what was given and what we had to check.